Welcome back. This is the MJ show, and you know what? I gotta tell you guys one thing, that the most awesome times on the show are actually when the cameras stop rolling and we talk about so many interesting things beyond the show. And someday, maybe you'll get to know about all of the things that we do here. But now, let's get back to the show. We left you when Joe told you about his stint with the Savages, one of the first massive rock and roll bands from India, from Mumbai. They released their album, I think somewhere in the late 70s. It's called Black Scorpio. Yeah. So what happened after that?
Yeah, so then while sort of I grew into I told you Woodstock hit us.
Woodstock, yes.
And so did all the heavy rocking kind of environment with all the bands that hit Woodstock. And naturally, as a musician, you were hit by the power of Woodstock,
yeah,
and by the by Jimi Hendrix. Correct. And whatever else was on that bill.
Yeah.
And with the music also came the smoke,
yeah,
from Woodstock into the college,
yeah,
area, and
right.
So I was naturally drawn into that whole environment.
Yeah.
And being, I would say, a discerning listener or a performer that wanted to further my craft,
yeah,
with more powerful renditions of our music.
Yeah.
I was naturally sucked into this Woodstock environment.
Yeah.
The flower children.
Correct.
And experimented with everything that
all
came
sorts of things
my way.
Yeah.
And I joined a very progressive rock band,
mm-hmm,
that really epitomized a world-class rock band on the west coast of India at that time, called the Atomic Forest.
mm-hmm,
And that also was an institution that had Madhukar Chandradas, and I think Nandu Bhende also sang. And with, there were core mother bands. So Savages was the first band in which Remo played,
correct,
Leslie Lewis also played,
correct,
and of course Bashir and everybody else. So I fronted that. When I fronted the Savages, Remo left. Then I left the Savages and I joined the Atomic Forest. Madhukar left.
right.
So I fronted the Forest for 2 years. And in the Forest, we had, we were like the underground rock band,
mm-hmm,
that did stuff from Zeppelin.
Oh, wow,
very
okay,
progressive stuff.
right,
Led Zeppelin and Yes.
yeah,
Nobody was playing that kind of progressive music. The musicians were fabulous. Keith Kanga on bass,
nice,
Jerry DeMoss on drums. We were the first band that had a transparent Ludwig kit,
nice,
at that time,
okay,
and stuff like that. And a host of guitar players like Abe, Abraham, now he's a preacher, I believe.
oh wow, okay,
And Arun Phatak,
uh-huh,
who was in Delhi, and Valu on drums. So the Atomic Forest also was a very progressive, smoked out, coked out rock band that had underground listeners.
okay,
So wherever we played, we had packed houses.
nice,
And we were smashed all the time, but we were into the music.
yeah,
What I remember very clearly was that these kind of bands rehearsed for about 8 hours a day.
oh wow, that's
So there was no nonsense about the music.
incredible,
So they were all wedded to the music,
yeah,
though we were all long-haired and hippie in our nature and culture.
yeah,
But we did 8-9 hours of rehearsals every day. That's all we did. So when
Wow.
we were on stage,
you were
it
perfect,
was explosive,
Yeah,
man. It was
yeah.
just an explosive delivery.
yeah,
And bands at that time were like the Atomic Forest and the Waterfront.
okay,
That was another underground band of various other great musicians.
mm-hmm,
So that was a lovely period where, we did a lot of all India kind of gigs.
okay,
Lots in Goa, Calcutta, Delhi, Bangalore.
yeah,
And I enjoyed my tenure with the Atomic Forest.
lovely,
Then from the Forest, in the same kind of what you call evolutionary mode,
mm-hmm,
I joined a very kind of a band that had elements of jazz, R&B, soul, funk, and rock.
okay. So is this around the time when you actually made that transition from just being into rock and roll and rock music?
No,
Not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
So this was kind of rock ruled from the 70s to I think 78, 79. When I also must mention that we had Alec Padamsee did Jesus Christ Superstar at that time.
Yeah.
And we had about 150 shows.
Yeah.
And that was all part of that whole hawa of rock music and
and you performed.
I was
in that
Simon
as well.
Zillett
Yes.
in that in all the shows. And
The late Nandu Bhende was
Judas.
Judas.
And Madhukar was Jesus.
No,
Madhukar.
the other way, right?
No.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Nandu was right.
Nandu was
correct.
Judas. Madhukar was Jesus Christ.
yeah.
I was Simon.
Yeah.
And I still have. I was known as the most powerful singer at that time. So Alec, we used to rehearse in Kafpur at Kolaba in his thing. He would tell me, Joe, you sing in Thane. Don't come for rehearsals.
We can hear you.
We'll hear you there. Don't come. And I mean that kind of thing. He wrote about me in his book also, Double Life.
Yeah.
Where he's mentioned this fact.
Yeah.
This guy's power we could hear from wherever. So I used to be, because I grew up with rock and I was a very aggressive singer, and it all came from, I suppose, the frustrations and the dealing of life and the pain and the yearning and the wanting of the reality of being, So you find expression in a format that gives you life, and rock gave me life at that time.
Nice.
And it was great to be one of the pioneers of that period. And quite honestly, always one of the underlying aspects of our music has been to find qualitative ascendance. It was not just playing,
correct,
not just singing, but we wanted to be better and better and better. The musicians honed their skills, the vocalists went for vocal classes, emulated the best bands, listened to the best music, made it a point to get the best albums from outside.
Wow.
And then when we played on stage, it was not somebody like playing in these clubs that play dated music. We were far ahead of our time.
And you were actually playing contemporary music for that point of time.
And ahead of our time here, as far as the listeners were concerned, always.
Correct.
Because we were listening to that, and our standards were guided by what is best in the standards of the world, in London and New York, And we always felt that if we can make it there, then we are of some standard, because that's where it came from, the music and the...
No, if I may ask, so did the fact that you guys were on that level in terms of the effort that you were putting in, the practice, and the just the will to be as good as they are,
as
out
what
there.
we're listening to.
What you're listening to. So did it bother you that the listener base here or the fan base here could not get you to the level of success, so to say, that a band doing the same kind of music with the same level of proficiency was doing, say, in London or in America?
No, the thing is that it's two different markets. India was absorbing that culture.
Right.
We didn't have a culture base.
Correct.
Like they already have a culture base of 250 years of industrialization and entertainment and music.
Right.
We absorbed this overnight. We absorbed color television overnight. We absorbed rock overnight. And therefore there's a culture shock.
Correct.
There is an adjustment of the mass.
Right.
And then there are listeners.
Correct.
So it took a long time. We pioneered the road for listeners. We had great listeners, but we played in clubs like Bullock Cart and Slip Disc and Blow Up that packed houses at that time. 250 people in a club was jam packed. That was great. So according to the standards that we knew and the market capabilities of our cities, we packed houses.
Correct.
We didn't have the expertise of an industry that is already at least 100
doing
years old.
Doing like a stadium show or whatever.
No, that hadn't arrived yet.
That hadn't arrived.
Stadium shows hadn't arrived yet.
Correct.
And so we packed clubs.
Yeah.
And we did an album.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. And we did college venues.
Correct.
That had 3,000-4,000 people always.
So there was satisfaction.
There was no Bollywood at that time. So we rocked, man. Okay, we enjoyed the what you call the whole market.
Yeah.
There was no Bollywood, and
in live entertainment.
we were the
so to
leader,
say.
market leaders.
Correct.
We were the musicians. If you went to a live show, you are listening to rock, boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to some Bollywood thing,
Correct.
Except, Lata and Asha Bhosle and all these, they would do one or two things, but this had no relevance to what we were doing.
Correct.
We were the emerging Western mind of the country,
Correct.
with its Western followers in the Western music.
Correct.
And so we drew full houses, and all those who professed to be listeners came to our gigs.
Absolutely.
You know, so those were those times, the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, everything changes, times change, and Bollywood comes into the picture. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I joined from the atomic forest that ruled the rock stage at that time.
Yeah.
I joined a band called Sky
Okay.
that was a little more elegant, suave, less rockish, but had rock. The
Yeah.
backbeat was rock.
Yeah.
Steve Sequeira on drums, one of the best backbeat drummers at that time.
Nice.
He now plays keyboards in Goa. And then Gussie Rick, who I think played for Euphoria afterwards for a little while.
Okay.
Brilliant classical guitar player who came into rock and jazz and funk.
Okay.
And Xerxes Gobhai, another classic bass player. This was the band, and we did eclectic rock.
Nice.
And we did R&B. We started stepping out into R&B and funk. And we had those kind of musicians and those kind of singers. Like Steve's wife now, Kitu, was one of the most Shaka Khanish type of singers at that time.
Nice.
And so I enjoyed a tenure with those kind of people, and you know, evolved doing corporate stuff and great. We did with the Forest and Sky. I did collectively 2 years
Wow.
of continuous singing at the Taj in the Blow Up.
Oh wow.
So I sang every night for at least 2 years.
Oh wow.
So there was, we played in a place called Hell,
Huh.
a Hotel Hilltop, for about 6 months.
Okay.
I did slip disc for about 6 months. So collectively, I have sung in those years 3 years every night.
Unbelievable.
High powered rock.
Unbelievable.
So that was where we paid our dues
yeah.
to the music, you know.
Wow.
Because you can imagine a band playing for 2 years every night in a nightclub, high powered music,
Yeah.
and you know how good you can turn out to be because of the continuous oiling of the
Correct.
machinery,
Of the
and
machinery.
the emotion and your, you know, playability. So we came from those great times.
Okay, I'm going to stop you here.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. It's just an incredible thing for me to be sitting here listening to the actual sort of pioneering of rock and roll in not just Mumbai, in India. And we're going to find out a little bit more, but that's going to happen after a very short break. So don't go anywhere.